Hello and welcome to another short video from the Activism, Influence and Change programme at the London School of Economics and Political Science. Today we're going to look at how you can read your systems maps. We're going to examine why spotting change that's already occurred within complex systems can help your activism. Then we're going to look how we can use your systems maps and spotting those points of change within them to help you design more plausible influence strategies with a particular focus on spotting points of entry for affecting change. We're going to concentrate on 4 things that systems mappers can look for in their maps. The first one is how to think about and spot those particularly powerful or connected elements within a system that is producing the kinds of problems you may want to address. We're then going to look at how to spot feedback loops in the system that are driving incremental and ongoing change that may lead to a tipping point or critical juncture. We're also going to look at the bright spots in the system where there is potential for change to occur. Lastly, we're going to look at the importance or significance of frozen relationships in a system and what you might want to do with them or how you might want to respond to them as an activist. The first type of relationship you might want to identify within your systems maps are those particularly powerful or connected elements. If you remember in a previous video, we argued that power within a complex system is always contingent and power is relative, with different elements having more or less power to affect change within that system. Power can often be represented by the size of the element in your map, and how you do that all depends on your research of what constitutes power in that particular system. However, importantly, the number of interconnections and relationships particular elements have can also be an indicator of power, with those with more relationships and interconnections likely to be more powerful. Remember, this is not a law, and the power and which elements have it will always be contingent and specific to a particular complex system. Systems thinkers are often interested in identifying feedback loops. Feedback loops are processes that are contributing to ongoing change within a complex system. They come in various types. They can be reinforcing, they can be balancing, or they can be subtracting. Reinforcing feedback loops are normally pushing or increasing the stocks of something or some kind of good within a system. Here, a good metaphor is an interest on a savings account. The more money is put into the savings account, the more interest accrues, putting more money back into the saving account and growing its overall amount. Balancing feedback loops don't do this. They tend to keep stocks of a particular good or a particular idea at a certain level. Here, a good metaphor might be a thermostat that regulates the temperature of a house, changing the heating based on the external temperature, always keeping the house balanced. In the case of the Kenyan system that we explored earlier, that was pushing for the establishment of a digital ID, we can identify 2 important feedback loops that activists might want to take note of. The first one was a relationship between the central bank and private credit providers and mobile operators, all of who were pushing for the introduction of a digital ID. The second was relationships between different ministries and authorities within the state who wanted a digital ID for a variety of reasons, from security to their ability to provide better government services. These were both reinforcing feedback loops, driving that push towards a digital ID. Activists in particular might be interested in identifying bright spots on their systems maps. These are places and elements that are already interested in or talking about the kinds of change that activists want to see brought about. However, unlike feedback loops, they're often isolated or not in a relationship that's contributing to change yet. They may know one another, these different elements, and they may be exchanging ideas or supporting each other, but they're not contributing to the change in the type of ways we may want them to as activists. Hence, they're bright spots, but not yet feedback loops. Lastly, when we're reading our systems maps, we're often going to identify elements and relationships that are describable as frozen. These are relationships that as activists we believe are probably going to be important to creating the kinds of changes we want to see in the system, but we don't think they are at the present time, or we don't know enough about them to be certain that they are. This means we need to go and do some more research on those elements and the relationships they have, and we need to think harder about what their role is within those systems. Often we may need to dig deep and look at the social or moral norms that are underpinning those elements and their activities and the relationships they have. Really, frozen relationships and elements are a call to think further and do more analysis. To end this video, I just want to address the so what question. Why is reading your systems map an important step towards producing a more plausible influencing strategy? Well, we'd argue that reading your systems maps allows activists to do two things. Firstly, to see where ongoing change is already occurring in the complex systems producing wicked and emergent problems. Secondly, it helps us to identify where the potential for future change might come from, whether it be those bright spots, flows in relationships, or some kind of feedback loop that we might want to challenge or address. So in sum, systems mapping is a vital part to creating more plausible influencing strategies and identifying those opportunities for change as activists.